Hello, everybody. Welcome. How are you? It's Friday. Hurrah! Celebrations. The Chattering Magpie here with the rest of the gang. Excited and delighted to read with you the Count of Monte Cristo. How are you, gang?
Great.
I'm good.
Amazing.
Sweet.
How are you?
Yeah. So today, I was actually okay. I will admit, you guys, I just joined the Discord server. I hopped really quick, like a minute ago, literally a minute ago. So we have to figure out some voices. It's only Edmond Dantès, the only one that we had to figure out.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Unless you want to read 26. I don't know. If we get there, it's only one additional voice.
Are we reading 26?
Yeah.
Are you guys doing the same thing you
25
did
seems
to me?
long.
Yeah.
25 seems long.
Because
so I think we'll just do.
Because last time it was like, it's 2 chapters, but they're both really short. And I'm like, okay, I didn't even check them out. And like halfway through the first chapter, I'm like, man, this is a lot of reading of narration. Like they said it was short. It does not feel short. By the time we were done, I was tired.
If we did both 24 and 25, it would be about the same number of pages as last time.
But it's mostly narration. So let's just stick with 25. We'll discuss it really deeply.
24.
Yes.
No, we read 24. Oh, yes, 24. Sorry.
24, the secret cave. Unless there is...
Math is not my strong suit.
Oh, come on, Teal. I thought you were the in-house genius here. Don't disappoint us.
I only know pi to 15 decimals, so it's fine.
Yeah, Exhibit A. Hello. I only know the first 2 decimals, and that's enough for me. All right, Teal. Quit impressing us with your wit. We know you're a genius. Any haikus today, by the way? Feel free to drop them in the chat. But for now, let us start with the long-awaited summary read by the one and only Yay. Yay, could you read us your summary?
Sure. Last time on the Count of Monte Cristo, Dantès learned the crew he traveled with were smugglers, as he spent 6 months traveling with them. All the while, he watched the Island of Monte Cristo in wonder if what Faria said was true. Finally, the ship did set sail for Monte Cristo to meet with another band of smugglers. He used this time to look for clues on the island, finding several secret markings indicating a path. With some assurance he was on the right path, Dantès faked an injury so that he could be left behind on the island long enough to uncover the treasure. Now, with the pathway unblocked, it's time to see the truth of the treasure. This time, on the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes, bravo, bravo. Thank you for that beautiful summary of last read. If you haven't read it, well, what are you doing? Haul your butt back to previous read-alongs and read. You don't want to miss any details. It's been so far a delight. Lots and lots and lots of details. Like I've watched the movies, 2 different versions, and so far I've been, even though I know how the story goes, I've been really surprised and being taken in by what the author put in there that the movies did not. So good job, book, as always. Usually book is better than the movie. So so far it's I'm really curious to see where this is going. So I hope you guys are too. Let's see who else is with us on the chat. YouTube chat. Yukihime says 1 whole minute late. I know. It's Mexican time. we don't know anything about time. I mean, like, we text on my way while I'm just hopping out of the shower. Okay, that's
No way.
yes. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I feel bad I can't make it because it's just so terribly long, like late. So like I'm like in the car. It's been an hour and a half since the event started, and I'm like, yeah, I can't. And then I just don't show up because I'm so late. So yeah, a flake probably. late always. So the fact that I'm sticking to a schedule is kind of impressive. So please give me grace with just the 1 minute. Besides, I do have to say I have a valid excuse. Thank you. I have a valid excuse. To those of you who are following Pride and Prejudice and Bookworms, I was in the middle of writing a chapter and I was like, I need to finish this chapter. And so that's where my time was going. I was writing fanfic. So I think that definitely excuses more.
This is literally literally the only place and with the only people you can say, sorry, I was late. I was writing fanfic, and we will be like, understandable. Have a nice day.
I know, that's why I love you all. But yeah, hopefully over the weekend I can publish a Richard point of view, which I've been sitting on, but we'll see. Hopefully. Anyway,
yeah,
but
I need to say, I was considering just writing this, but I might as well say it on stream. I actually dreamed of your story last night.
What?
That was crazy. Yeah, I was like really invested in like and thinking, oh my god, Ferdinand as girl's dad, he's gonna kill that boy. Like I literally had like an entire hunting scene, like of Ferdinand just being like with a knife on the table, being like, what are your intentions with my daughter? Like, I'm killing you anyway, but what are your? You're like, I literally dreamed of your girl, Marianne.
Wow. Well, that
you are terrorizing me.
That pleases me exceedingly, but let's not hurt Richard just yet, okay? I'm trying to explain him in this point of view, and hopefully readers can understand a little bit more where he's coming from.
Yeah, but because it was a dream, it didn't actually make sense. So in my dream, he actually got involved with like a peasant boy. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That would never happen. But yeah, wow, very interesting. All right, so thank you for that. That's actually a pretty interesting little bit of info. Hopefully, next time you dream, it'll just be of Ferdinand and Ferdinand's beauty and not him terrorizing people. But here's hoping.
Isn't that part of his
Or
charm?
the same, and you enjoy it.
Yes. Actually, it is. All right. Teal is also on the chat. Says, hello, I'm a bit frazzled from trying to balance work, making a TTRPG game. Really? You're making a game? Sweet. Highlighting the Count and reading Lord of Mysteries. Wow, Teal. Yeah, I can't even like say how do you do it? I don't know. That we're thankful that you're here devoting some of your precious time with us. We are very thankful indeed. Happy to see you here, Teal. And thanks for being our trusty highlighting Mestionora, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Fuji Petals, Fuji, hey, how are you? Says, may I pray for a blessing in appreciation of this serendipitous reading ordained by the amazingness of Lady Rosamine. I mean, the vibrant summer rays of Leidenschaft, the god of fire. Yes, you may indeed. By the way, I just reading Fuji Petals' comment reminded me of yesterday when supposedly Teal and I went live and we were chatting. And I was like, yeah, you may say your prayer, Fuji Petals. I was like, this is weird. It's been like 20 minutes since they asked and they haven't, like, did they leave the chat? And then Teal pointed out we hadn't yet gone live on YouTube, so we had been talking for 20 minutes of anime and we were not live. So
Oops.
yeah, so what I did today was I double checked that we were live on stream, and yes, we are live. So yay, happy to see you all, excited for this next chapter. I'm prepared. I'm gonna do my best so that we can probably do the 2 chapters because we do have a ways to go. But I may need a little bit of break in between, so just saying. All right. We are missing Patrick today, but Patrick, no worries. Have safe travelings, and Ye will hold the fort for you as reading Edmond Dantès, and also trying to get a rice out of me, but I shall try not to give him the satisfaction. Yeah, you don't have to take.
I would never do such a thing.
You
how
could you? Do not take that job so seriously. All right, you guys. Let's get started with reading chapter 24. Oh, where's this? All right. The Secret Cave. The sun had nearly reached the meridian, and his scorching rays fell full on the rocks, which seemed themselves sensible of the heat. Thousands of grasshoppers, hidden in the bushes, chirped with a monotonous and dull note. The leaves of the myrtle and olive trees waved and rustled in the wind. At every step that Edmond took, he disturbed the lizards glittering with the hues of the emerald. Afar off he saw the wild goats bounding from crag to crag. In a word, the island was inhabited. Yet Edmond felt himself alone, guided by the hand of God. He felt an indescribable sensation, somewhat akin to dread. That dread of the daylight which, even in the desert, makes us fear that we are watched and observed. This feeling was so strong that at the moment when Edmond was about to begin his labor, he stopped, laid down his pickaxe, seized his gun, mounted to the summit of the highest rock, and from thence gazed around in every direction. But it was not upon Corsica, the very houses of which he could distinguish, or in Sardinia, or in the island of Elba, with its historical associations, or upon the almost imperceptible line that to the experienced eye of a sailor alone revealed the coast of Genoa, the proud, and Leghorn, the commercial, that he gazed. It was at the brigantine that had left in the morning, and the tartan that had just set sail, that Edmond fixed his eyes. The first was just disappearing in the Straits of Bonifacio. The other, following an opposite direction, was about to round the island of Corsica. The sight reassured him. He then looked at the objects near him. He saw that he was on the highest point of the island, a statue on this vast pedestal of granite, nothing human appearing in sight, while the blue ocean beat against the base of the island and covered it with a fringe of foam. Then he descended with a cautious and slow step, for he dreaded lest an accident similar to that he had so adroitly feigned should happen in reality. Dantès, as we have said, had traced the marks along the rocks, and he had noticed that they led to a small creek, which was hidden like the bath of some ancient nymph. This creek was sufficiently wide at its mouth, and deep in the center, to admit of the entrance of a small vessel of the lugger class, which would be perfectly concealed from observation. Then, following the clue that, in the hands of Faria, had been so skillfully used to guide him through the Daedalian labyrinth of probabilities, he thought that the Cardinal Spada, anxious not to be watched, had entered the creek, concealed his little bark, followed the line marked by the notches in the rock, and at the end of it had buried his treasure. It was this idea that had brought Dantès back to the circular rock. One thing only perplexed Edmond and destroyed his theory. How could this rock, which weighed several tons, have been lifted to the spot without the aid of many men? Suddenly an idea flashed across his mind. Instead of raising it, thought he, they have lowered it, and he sprang from the rock in order to inspect the base on which it had formerly stood. He soon perceived that a slope had been formed, and the rock had slid along this until it stopped at the spot it now occupied. A large stone had served as a wedge. Splints and pebbles had been inserted around it so as to conceal the orifice. This species of masonry had been covered with earth, and grass and weeds had grown there. Moss had clung to the stones, myrtle bushes had taken root, and the old rock seemed fixed to the earth. Dantès dug away the earth carefully and detected, or fancied he detected, the ingenious artifice. He attacked this wall, cemented by the hand of time, with his pickaxe. Then, after 10 minutes' labor, the wall gave way, and a hole large enough to insert the arm was opened. Dantès went and cut the strongest olive tree he could find, stripped off its branches, inserted it in the hole, and used it as a lever. But the rock was too heavy and too firmly wedged to be moved by anyone, were he Hercules himself. Dantès saw that he must attack the wedge. But how? He cast his eyes around and saw the horn full of powder with which his friend Jacopo had left him. He smiled. The infernal invention would serve him for this purpose. With the aid of his pickaxe, Dantès, after the manner of a labor-saving pioneer, dug a mine between the upper rock and the one that supported it, filled it with powder, then made a match by rolling his handkerchief in saltpetre. He lighted it and retired. The explosion soon followed. The upper rock was lifted from its base by the terrific force of the powder. The lower one flew into pieces. Thousands of insects escaped from the aperture that Dantès had previously formed, and a huge snake, like the guardian demon of the treasure, rolled himself along in darkening coils and disappeared. Dantès approached the upper rock, which now, without any support, leaned toward the sea. The intrepid treasure-seeker walked around it, and selecting the spot from which it appeared most susceptible to attack, placed his lever in one of the crevices and strained every nerve to move the mass. The rock, already shaken by the explosion, tottered on its base. Dantès redoubled his efforts. He seemed like one of the ancient Titans who uprooted the mountains to hurl against the father of the gods. The rock yielded, rolled over, bounded from point to point, and finally disappeared in the ocean. On the spot it had occupied was a circular space, exposing an iron ring let into a square flagstone. Dantès uttered a cry of joy and surprise. Never had a first attempt been crowned with more perfect success. He would fain have continued, but his knees trembled, and his heart beat so violently, and his sight became so dim, that he was forced to pause. The feeling lasted but for a moment. Edmond inserted his lever in the ring and exerted all his strength. The flagstone yielded, and disclosed steps that descended until they were lost in the obscurity of a subterraneous grotto. Anyone else would have rushed on with a cry of joy. Dantès turned pale, hesitated, and reflected.
Come, be a man. I am accustomed to adversity. I must not be cast down by the discovery that I have been deceived. What, then, would be the use of all I have suffered? The heart breaks when, after having elated by flattering hopes, it sees all its illusions destroyed. Faria has dreamed this. Cardinal Spada buried no treasure here. Perhaps he never came here. Or if he did, Caesar Borgia, the intrepid adventurer, the stealthy and indefatigable plunderer, has followed him, discovered his traces, pursued them as I have done, raised the stone, and descended before me, and has left me nothing.
He remained motionless and pensive, his eyes fixed on the gloomy aperture that was open at his feet.
Now that I expect nothing, now that I no longer entertain the slightest hope, the end of this adventure becomes simply a matter of curiosity.
And he remained again, motionless and thoughtful.
Yes, Yes, this is an adventure worthy a place in the varied career of that royal bandit, that fabulous event formed by a link in a long chain of marvels. Yes, Borgia has been here, a torch in one hand, a sword in the other, and within 20 paces, at the foot of this rock, perhaps 2 guards keeping watch on land and sea while their master descended, as I am about to descend, dispelling the darkness before his awe-inspiring progress. But what was the fate of the guards who thus possessed his secret? The fate of those who buried Alaric and were interred with the corpse. Yet, had he come, he would have found the treasure, and Borgia, he who compared Italy to an artichoke, which he could devour leaf by leaf, knew too well the value of time to waste it in replacing this rock. I will go down.
Then he descended, a smile on his lips, and murmuring that last word of human philosophy.
Perhaps.
But instead of the darkness and the thick and mephitic atmosphere he had expected to find, Dante saw a dim and bluish light, which, as well as the air, entered, not merely by the aperture he had just formed, but by the interstices and crevices of the rock which were visible from without, and through which he could distinguish the blue sky and the waving branches of the evergreen oaks and the tendrils of the creepers that grew from the rocks. After having stood a few minutes in the cavern, the atmosphere of which was rather damp and warm, Dantès' eye, habituated as it was to darkness, could pierce even to the remotest angles of the cavern, which was of granite that sparkled like diamonds.
Alas, these are the treasures the cardinal has left, and the good abbé, seeing in a dream these glittering walls, has indulged in fallacious hopes.
But he called to mind the words of the will, which he knew by heart. In the furthest angle of the second opening, said in the cardinal's will. He had only found the first grotto. He had now to seek the second. Dantès continued his search. He reflected that the second grotto must penetrate deeper into the island. He examined the stones and sounded one part of the wall where he fancied the opening existed, masked for precaution's sake. The pickaxe struck for a moment with a dull sound that drew out of Dantès' forehead large drops of perspiration. At last it seemed to him that one part of the wall gave forth a more hollow and deeper echo. He eagerly advanced, and with the quickness of perception that no one but a prisoner possesses, saw that there, in all probability, the opening must be. However, he, like Caesar Borgia, knew the value of time, and in order to avoid fruitless toil, he sounded all the other walls with his pickaxe, struck the earth with the butt of his gun, and finding nothing that appeared suspicious, returned to that part of the wall whence issued the consoling sound he had before heard. He again struck it, and with greater force. Then a singular thing occurred. As he struck the wall, pieces of stucco, similar to that used in the groundwork of arabesques, broke off and fell to the ground in flakes, exposing a large white stone. The aperture of the rock had been closed with stones. Then this stucco had been applied and painted to imitate granite. Dante struck with the sharp end of his pickaxe, which entered some way between the interstices. It was there that he must dig. But, by some play of emotion, in proportion as the proofs that Faria had not been deceived became stronger, so did his heart give way, and a feeling of discouragement stole over him. This last proof, instead of giving him fresh strength, deprived him of it. The pickaxe descended, or rather fell. He placed it on the ground, passed his hand over his brow, and remounted the stairs, alleging to himself as an excuse a desire to be assured that no one was watching him, but in reality because he felt that he was about to faint. The island was deserted, and the sun seemed to cover it with its fiery glance. A Afar off, a few small fishing boats studded the bosom of the blue ocean. Dantès had tasted nothing, but he thought not of hunger at such a moment. He hastily swallowed a few drops of rum, and again entered the cavern. The pickaxe that had seemed so heavy was now like a feather in his grasp. He seized it and attacked the wall. After several blows, he perceived that the stones were not cemented, but had been merely placed one on top of the other and covered with stucco. He inserted the point of his pickaxe, and using one handle as lever, with joy soon saw the stone turn as if on hinges and fall at his feet. He had nothing more to do now, but with the iron tooth of the pickaxe to draw the stones toward him one by one. The aperture was already sufficiently large for him to enter, but by waiting he could still cling to hope and retard the certainty of deception. At last, after renewed hesitation, Dantès entered the second grotto. The second... Oh, shoot. Hold on a second. I lost my place. Here we go. The second grotto was lower and more gloomy than the first. The air that could only enter by the newly formed opening had the mephitic smell Dantès was surprised not to find in the outer cavern. He waited in order to allow pure air to displace the foul atmosphere. And then he went on. At the left of the opening was a dark and deep angle, but to Dantès' eye there was no darkness. He glanced around this second grotto. It was, like the first, empty. The treasure, if it existed, was buried in this corner. The time had at length arrived. 2 feet of earth removed, and Dantès' fate would be decided. He advanced toward the angle, and summoning all his resolution, attacked the ground with the pickaxe. At the 5th or 6th blow, the pickaxe struck against an iron substance. Never did funeral knell, never did alarm bell, produce a greater effect on the hearer. Had Dantès found nothing, he could not have become more ghastly pale. He again struck his pickaxe into the earth and encountered the same resistance, but not the same sound.
It is a casket of wood bound with iron,
thought he. At this moment, a shadow passed rapidly before the opening. Dantès seized his gun, sprang through the opening, and mounted the stair. A wild goat had passed before the mouth of the cave and was feeding at a little distance. This would have been a favorable occasion to secure his dinner, but Dantès feared lest the report of his gun should attract attention. He thought a moment, cut a branch of a resinous tree, lighted it at the fire at which the smugglers had prepared their breakfast, and descended with his torch. He wished to see everything. He approached the hole he had dug, and now, with the aid of the torch, saw that his pickaxe had in reality struck against iron and wood. He planted his torch on the ground and resumed his labor. In an instant, a space 3 feet long by 2 feet broad was cleared, and Dantès could see an oaken coffer, bound with cut steel. In the middle of the lid saw engraved on a silver plate, which was still untarnished, the arms of the Spada family, vis a sword and pelle, on an oval shield, like all the Italian armorial bearings, and surmounted by a cardinal's hat. Dantès easily recognized them. Faria had so often drawn them for him. There was no longer any doubt. The treasure was there. No one could have been at such pains to conceal an empty casket. In an instant he had cleared every obstacle away, and he saw successively by the lock, placed between 2 padlocks, and the 2 handles at each end, all carved as things were carved at that epoch, when art rendered the commonest metals precious. Dantès seized the handles and strove to lift the coffer. It was impossible. He sought to open it. Lock and padlock were fastened. These faithful guardians seemed unwilling to surrender their trust. Dantès inserted the sharp end of the pickaxe between the coffer and the lid, and pressing with all his force on the handle, burst open the fastenings. The hinges yielded in their turn and fell, still holding in their grasp fragments of the wood, and the chest was open. Edmond was seized with vertigo. He cocked his gun and laid it beside him. He then closed his eyes as children do in order that they may see in the resplendent night of their own imagination more stars that are visible in the firmament. He then reopened them and stood motionless with amazement. 3 compartments divided the coffer. In the first blazed piles of golden coin. In the second were ranged bars of unpolished gold, which possessed nothing attractive save their value. In the third, Edmond grasped handfuls of diamonds, pearls, and rubies, which as they fell on one another sounded like hail against glass. After having touched, felt, examined these treasures, Edmond rushed through the caverns like a man seized with frenzy. He leaped on a rock from whence he could behold the sea. He was alone with these countless, these unheard-of treasures. Was he awake, or was it but a dream? Was it a transient vision, or was he face to face with reality? He would fain have gazed upon his gold, and yet he had not the strength enough. For an instant he leaned his head in his hands as if to prevent his senses from leaving him, and then rushed madly about the rocks of Monte Cristo, terrifying the wild goats and scaring the sea-fowls with his wild cries and gestures. Then he returned, and still unable to believe the evidence of his senses, rushed into the grotto and found himself before this mine of gold and jewels. This time he fell on his knees, and clasping his hands convulsively, uttered a prayer intelligible to God alone, and soon became calmer and more happy, for only now did he begin to realize his felicity. He then set himself to work to count his fortune. There were 1,000 ingots of gold, each weighing from 2 to 3 pounds. And he piled up 25,000 crowns, each worth about 80 francs of our money, and bearing the effigies of Alexandre VI and his predecessors. And he saw that the complement was not half empty, and he measured 10 double handfuls of pearls, diamonds, and other gems, many of which, mounted by the most famous workmen, were valuable beyond their intrinsic worth. Dantès saw the light gradually disappeared, and fearing to be surprised in the cavern, left it, his gun still in his hand. A piece of biscuit and a small quantity of rum formed his supper, and he snatched a few hours of sleep, lying over the mouth of the cave. It was a night of joy and terror, such as this man of stupendous emotions had already experienced twice or thrice in his lifetime. End of chapter.
Please drink some water.
Yeah, I have to. I'm sorry. That was long, but that was great.
And he finally got his treasure.
Yes.
One piece.
A one piece is real.
We know why Luffy can't find it. Edmond got it.
All right. So I saw you guys were chatting while I was reading. You guys were supposed to focus on the reading and enjoy it and absorb it. But now you guys were chatting.
Engagement.
Yes, we do want engagement.
Exactly.
By the way, Yukihime, you're standing at rank 1. Congratulations for moving up from rank 3 to rank 1. Followed by Wisteria Petals in the Breeze, or Fuji Petals, I imagine. And then Crusher. Wait, Crusher's with us? Where are you, Crusher? Crusher's here! Hey! Happy to see you. Teal also says, reminds me of the olden days when Magpie read the Blue Castle solo, right? Raise your hands if you remember those days. I think it was only Teal. I think Teal. Anybody else listen to those? Probably not.
I did not know about this channel before the fanfic.
Really? Wow.
I just saw like one post from you, or I think it was just one post on your community post on the main channel or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that said you're gonna read A World Away, and I was like, oh my god, I need to get in on that Discord right now.
Wow, and thus began the legend. Yukihime.
It's been a year.
Yeah,
It's been a great year.
It has been a great year. So, yeah, it's a little nostalgic, but we did get Yay reading a little bit here. I was like, yes, it's time for Yay to read. That made me very happy. It was let me rest a little.
Happy to take some words from you.
Yeah. I'm willing to do the next one, but I'm gonna ask Teal if you want to read the next one. I'm sorry, just my voice is a little shot. I've been using it a lot this week. Are you open to that, Teal, or would you rather us just stop here?
I'm open to it. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, as you guys will know, Teal is the official replacement of when Magpie can't read. So that means that we do have to pick up other roles. There are several roles.
The honest sailor.
Mm-hmm.
I want to read.
Let's see. For chapter 20, what was it? 25?
25.
Now 25.
Okay.
Yep, the only new role is the honest sailor.
That's Yukihime. You are the honest sailor. You shall be graced with
Great.
that. Yes.
Yeah, just let me find the chapter.
Okay, no problem. Meanwhile, I kind of wanted to shake Edmond for his unbelief. I'm like, Edmond, don't, like, you've seen, like,
Well,
don't be so you're like a doubting Thomas. Believe it doesn't hurt to be optimistic. But then, you know what?
I was gonna say, I think it's more a case of he didn't want to get his hopes up.
Yeah, I think that's also. I agree. To tell the truth, though, like, I'm kind of like, come on, Ed, be more hopeful. But in reality, I'm a lot like Ed too. Sorry, I'm calling him Edmond too, because I always expect the worst optimistically. That's just how I do. Like, I always prepare for the worst. I'm like already like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I know like the worst is gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen, and I'm just optimistically hoping that there'll be a pleasant surprise at the end of it and that everything works out. So that's how I live. I was kind of like upset at Edmond, but I'm like, yeah, I'm also like that too.
And at the same time, like, looking at it from Dante's perspective, he doesn't know it's a book where it's gonna follow a plot. So from his perspective, it's, well, I met this nice old man in prison for a year who talked my ear off about a secret treasure that was hidden on an island by these famous people and outwitted the Pope. But don't worry, it's definitely still there. And definitely not a fever dream.
Yeah.
He was also like, I have half of this words, and I just filled in the rest. It's probably right.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch. Like, when Edmund asked him, like, how did you know the rest? He's like, just kind of like by guess and conjecture. So I'm like, that's taking a great leap of faith. I want to read the original French. I really do want to read the original French to see if it makes more sense. You know, the construction of the sentence would have been easier. So let me see. Letter will.
I mean, technically wouldn't have been the original Italian.
Oh, that's true. Blast of moderation. I don't know Italian, so never mind. I was hoping with my high school French to piece it together, but
are those subject, object, verb languages? So wouldn't the most important part, the verb, be like gone?
Yeah, perhaps.
I know some Italian, but definitely not enough.
Oh yeah, we could.
I mean, I guess as long as the Monte Cristo part survived and he knew his history, the rest of it, you potentially could make it. I mean, you probably need to know the second grotto trick, but
Mhm.
Right.
Let me see. I am actually looking into it right now.
Oh my.
Yeah, I am. I am curious. I know it's a waste of your time, but I need to know. I need to know. I want. Okay, sorry. Plain text. Oh shoot! I can't find it using English. Vous savez, dit la merde. Okay, I found it. All right. It's in French, so oh my gosh, I wonder if I'll be able to pull it off. Let's see. Just adjusting some things so that we can see it better. Here we go. Aujourd'hui, 25 avril. Hi. Alexandre. Okay, going towards Island of Monte Cristo. Sorry, you guys. It doesn't make any sense. How was like the important stuff is the stuff that he just guessed at, like the second part.
You don't get it. He's a genius.
Yeah, I know he's a genius, but like, I'm like really like, what was it that like?
I'm sure the second half was in his 150 books that explained everything you need to know.
Oh man, les grottes de la petite. Yeah, like the important stuff is the second part. I don't understand, but okay, whatever. Okay, suffice it to say.
I mean, I see Monte Cristo in the first part.
And I'm gonna paste it.
I see grottos.
I'm pasting it in the chat if you guys want to find it.
So maybe he did see the second part and he just had to like get it back with like hypnosis or something.
Talk about a plot armor, you guys. Even the Will had a plot armor. The important parts. I'm just like, all of this stuff is a partir de la petite. Yeah, all of that is just the important stuff is what he made up. Okay. Well, we'll just say it's the plot. It's plot doing what it does. Plot armor. All right, so
he's already gotten quite a bit of plot armor with them happening to go to the Island of Monte Cristo.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And happening to fall in such a way that he didn't hurt himself. Oh, Dantès. I wonder how he's going to get that money out. I want to know. All right, maybe this honest sailor has, the answer. And I'm wondering if it'll be Jacopo. I kind of like Jacopo. I hope that Jacopo is the honest sailor, but I doubt it. Otherwise, it would be like Jacopo. Oh, well. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Let's read. Teal, are you ready to read the next chapter?
I think I'm ready. Wish me luck.
Yes, you need it. I mean, you won't need it. You'll
Good
be
luck.
fine. Good luck. I shall lean back and enjoy. Yes.
Magpie, you lean back and enjoy your drink of a cool, refreshing Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper! Dr. Pepper.
All right, should I begin? Chapter 25. The Unknown. Day, for which Dantès had so eagerly and impatiently waited with open eyes, again dawned. With the first light, Dantès resumed his search. Again he climbed the rocky height he had ascended the previous evening and strained his view to catch every peculiarity of the landscape. But it wore the same wild, barren aspect when seen by the rays of the morning sun, which it had done when surveyed by the fading glimmer of eve. Descending into the grotto, he lifted the stone, filled his pockets with gems, put the box together as well and securely as he could, sprinkled fresh sand over the spot from which it had been taken, and then carefully trod down the earth to give it everywhere a uniform appearance. Then, quitting the grotto, he replaced the stone, heaping on it broken masses of rocks and rough fragments of crumbling granite, filling the interstices with earth into which he deftly inserted rapidly growing plants, such as the wild myrtle and flowering thorn. Then, carefully watering these new plantations, he scrupulously effaced every trace of footsteps, leaving the approach to the cavern as savage-looking and untrodden as he had found it. This done, he impatiently awaited the return of his companions, to wait at Monte Cristo for the purpose of watching like a dragon over the almost incalculable riches that had thus fallen into his possession, satisfied not the cravings of his heart, which yearned to return to dwell among mankind, and to assume the rank, power, and influence which are always accorded to wealth, that first and greatest of all the forces within the grasp of man. On the 6th day, the smugglers returned. From a distance, Dantès recognized the rig and handling of La Jeune Amélie, and dragging himself with affected difficulty towards the landing place, he met his companions with an assurance that, although considerably better than when they quitted him, he still suffered acutely from his late accident. He then inquired how they had fared in their trip. To this question, the smugglers replied that, although successful in landing their cargo in safety, they had scarcely done so when they received intelligence that a guard ship had just quitted the port of Toulon and was crowding all sail toward them. This obliged them to make all the speed they could to evade the enemy, when they could but lament the absence of Dantès, whose superior skill in the management of a vessel would have availed them so materially. In fact, the pursuing vessel had almost overtaken them when, fortunately, night came on, and enabled them to double the Cape of Corsica, and so elude all further pursuit. Upon the whole, however, the trip had been sufficiently successful to satisfy all concerned, while the crew, and particularly Jacopo, expressed great regrets that Dantès had not been an equal sharer with themselves in the profits, which amounted to no less a sum than 50 piastres each. Edmond preserved the most admirable self-command, not suffering the faintest indication of a smile to escape him at the enumeration of all the benefits he would have reaped had he been able to quit the island. But as La Jeune Amélie had merely come to Monte Cristo to fetch him away, he embarked that same evening and proceeded with the captain to Leghorn. Arrived at Leghorn, he repaired to the house of a Jew, a dealer in precious stones, to whom he disposed of 4 of his smallest diamonds for 5,000 francs each. Dantès half feared that such valuable jewels in the hands of a poor sailor like himself might excite suspicion, but the cunning purchaser asked no troublesome questions concerning a bargain by which he gained a round profit of at least 80%. The following day, Dantès presented Jacopo with an entirely new vessel, accompanying the gift by a donation of 100 piastres. That he might provide himself with a suitable crew and other requisites for his outfit, upon condition that he would go at once to Marseille for the purpose of inquiring after an old man named Louis Dantès, residing in the Allée des Mahans, and also a young woman called Mercedes, an inhabitant of the Catalan village. Jacopo could scarcely believe his senses at receiving this magnificent present, which Dantès hastened to account for by saying that he had merely been a sailor from whim, and a desire to spite his family, who did not allow him as much money as he liked to spend, but that on his arrival at Leghorn he had come into possession of a large fortune left him by an uncle, whose sole heir he was. The superior education of Dantès gave an air of such extreme probability to this statement that it never once occurred to Jacopo to doubt its accuracy. The term for which Edmond had engaged to serve on board La Jeune Amélie having expired, Dantès took leave of the captain, who at first tried all his powers of persuasion to induce him to remain as one of the crew. But having been told the history of the legacy, he ceased to importune him further. The following morning, Jacopo set sail from Marseille, with directions from Dantès to join him at the Island of Monte Cristo. Having seen Jacopo fairly out of the harbor, Dantès proceeded to make his final adieus on board La Jeune Amélie, distributing so liberal a gratuity among her crew as to secure for him the good wishes of all, and expressions of cordial interest in all that concerned him. To the captain, he promised to write when he had made up his mind as to his future plans. Then Dantès departed for Genoa. At the moment of his arrival, a small yacht was under trial in the bay. This yacht had been built by an order of an Englishman, who, having heard that the Genoese excelled all other builders along the shores of the Mediterranean in the construction of fast-sailing vessels, was desirous of possessing a specimen of their skill. The price agreed upon between the Englishman and the Genoese builder was 40,000 francs. Dantès, struck with the beauty and capability of the little vessel, applied to its owner to transfer it to him, offering 60,000 francs, upon condition that he should be allowed to take immediate possession. The proposal was too advantageous to be refused, the more so as the person for whom the yacht was intended had gone upon a tour through Switzerland, and was not expected back in less than 3 weeks or a month, by which time the builder reckoned upon being able to complete another. A bargain was therefore struck. Dantès led the owner of the yacht to the dwelling of a Jew, retired with the latter for a few minutes to a small back parlor, and upon their return the Jew counted out to the shipbuilder the sum of 60,000 francs in bright gold pieces. The delighted builder then offered his services in providing a suitable crew for the little vessel, but this Dantès declined with many thanks, saying he was accustomed to cruise about quite alone, and his principal pleasure consisted in managing his yacht himself. The only thing the builder could oblige him in would be to contrive a sort of secret closet in the cabin at his bed's head. Closet to contain 3 divisions, so constructed as to be concealed from all but himself. The builder cheerfully undertook the commission and promised to have these secret places completed by the next day, Dantès furnishing the dimensions and plan in accordance with which they were to be constructed. 2 hours afterward, Dantès sailed from the port of Genoa under the inspection of an immense crowd drawn together by curiosity to see the rich Spanish nobleman who preferred managing his own yacht. But their wonder was soon changed to admiration at seeing the perfect skill with which Dantès handled the helm. The boat, indeed, seemed to be animated with almost human intelligence, so promptly did it obey the slightest touch, and Dantès required but a short trial of his beautiful craft to acknowledge that the Genoese had not without reason attained their high reputation in the art of shipbuilding. The spectators followed the little vessel with their eyes as long as it remained visible. They turned their conjectures upon her probable destination. Some insisted she was making for Corsica, others the island of Elba. Bets were offered to any amount that she was bound for Spain, while Africa was positively reported by many persons as her intended course. But no one thought of Monte Cristo. Yet thither it was that Dantès guided his vessel, and at Monte Cristo he arrived at the close of the 2nd day. His boat had proved herself a first-class sailor, and had come the distance from Genoa in 35 hours. Dantès had carefully noted the general appearance of the shore, and, instead of landing at the usual place, he dropped anchor in the little creek. The island was utterly deserted, and bore no evidence of having been visited since he went away. His treasure was just as he had left it. Early on the following morning, he commenced the removal of his riches, and ere nightfall, the whole of his immense wealth was safely deposited in the compartments of the secret locker. A week passed by. Dantès employed it in maneuvering his yacht round the island, studying it as a skillful horseman would the animal he destined for some important service, till at the end of that time he was perfectly conversant with its good and bad qualities. The former Dantès proposed to augment, the latter to remedy. Upon the 8th day, he discerned a small vessel under full sail approaching Monte Cristo. As it drew near, he recognized it as the boat he had given to Jacopo. He immediately signaled it. His signal was returned, and in 2 hours afterwards, the newcomer lay at anchor beside the yacht. Mournful answer awaited each of Edmond's eager inquiries as to the information Jacopo had obtained. Old Dantès was dead, and Mercedes had disappeared. Dantès listened to these melancholy tidings with outward calmness, but, leaping lightly ashore, he signified his desire to be quite alone. In a couple of hours he returned. 2 of the men from Jacopo's boat came on board the yacht to assist in navigating it, and he gave orders that she should be steered direct to Marseille. For his father's death he was in some manner prepared, but he knew not how to account for the mysterious disappearance of Mercedes. Without divulging his secret, Dantès could not give sufficiently clear instructions to an agent. There were, besides, other particulars he was desirous of ascertaining, and those were of a nature he alone could investigate in a manner satisfactory to himself. His looking-glass had assured him, during his stay at Leghorn, that he ran no risk of recognition. Moreover, he had now the means of adopting any disguise he thought proper. One fine morning, then, his yacht, followed by the little fishing boat, boldly entered the port of Marseille and anchored exactly opposite the spot from whence, on the never-to-be-forgotten night of his departure for the Château d'If, he had been put on board the boat destined to convey him thither. Still Dantès could not view without a shudder the approach of a gendarme who accompanied the officers deputed to demand his bill of health ere the yacht was permitted to hold communication with the shore. But with that perfect self-possession he had acquired during his acquaintance with Faria, Dantès coolly presented an English passport he had obtained from Leghorn, and as this gave him a standing which a French passport would not have afforded, he was informed that there existed no obstacle to his immediate debarkation. The first person to attract the attention of Dantès, as he landed on the Canebière, was one of the crew belonging to the Pharaon. Edmond welcomed the meeting with this fellow, who had been one of his own sailors, as a sure means of testing the extent of the change which time had worked in his own appearance. Going straight towards him, he propounded a variety of questions on different subjects, carefully watching the man's countenance as he did so. But not a word or look implied that he had the slightest idea of ever having seen before the person with whom he was then conversing. Giving the sailor a piece of money in return for his civility, Dantès proceeded onwards. But ere he had gone many steps, he heard the man loudly calling him to stop. Dantès instantly turned to meet him.
"I beg your pardon, sir,"
said the honest fellow, in almost breathless haste.
"but I believe you made a mistake. You intended to give me a 2-franc piece, and see, you gave me a double Napoleon."
Thank you, my good friend. I see that I have made a trifling mistake, as you say. But by way of rewarding your honesty, I give you another double Napoleon, that you may drink to my health and be able to ask your messmates to join you.
Extreme was the surprise of the sailor that he was unable even to thank Edmond, whose receding figure he continued to gaze after in speechless astonishment.
"Some nabob from India,"
was his comment. Dantès, meanwhile, went on his way. Each step he trod approached his heart with fresh emotion. His first and most indelible recollections were there. Not a tree, not a street, that he passed but seemed filled with dear and cherished memories. And thus he proceeded onwards till he arrived at the end of the Rue Danoise, from whence a full view of the Allée de Melun was obtained. At this spot, so pregnant with fond and familiar remembrances, his heart beat almost to bursting. His knees tottered under him. A mist floated over his sight, and had he not clung for support to one of the trees, he would have inevitably fallen to the ground and been crushed beneath the many vehicles continually passing there. Recovering himself, however, he wiped the perspiration from his brows and stopped not again till he found himself at the door of the house in which his father had lived. The nasturtiums and other plants, which his father had delighted to train before his window, had all disappeared from the upper part of the house. Leaning against the tree, he gazed thoughtfully for a time at the upper stories of the shabby little house. Then he advanced to the door and asked whether there were any rooms to be let. Though answered in the negative, he begged so earnestly to be permitted to visit those on the 5th floor that, in spite of the oft-repeated assurance of the concierge that they were occupied, Dante succeeded in inducing the man to go up to the tenants and ask permission for a gentleman to be allowed to look at them. The tenants of the humble lodging were a young couple who had been scarcely married a week, and seeing them, Dante sighed heavily. Nothing in the two small chambers forming the apartments remained as it had been in the time of the elder Dantès. The very paper was different, while the articles of antiquated furniture with which the rooms had been filled in Edmond's time had all disappeared. The four walls alone remained as he had left them. The bed belonging to the present occupants was placed in the former owner of the chamber was placed as the former owner of the chamber had been accustomed to have his, and, in spite of his efforts to prevent it, the eyes of Edmond were suffused in tears as he reflected that on that spot the old man had breathed his last, vainly calling for his son. The young couple gazed with astonishment at the sight of their visitor's emotion, and wondered to see the large tears silently chasing each other down his otherwise stern and immovable features. But they felt the sacredness of his grief, and kindly refrained from questioning him as to its cause, while, with instinctive delicacy, they left him to indulge his sorrow alone. When he withdrew from the scene of his painful recollections, they both accompanied him downstairs, reiterating their hope that he would come again whenever he pleased, and assuring him that their poor dwelling would ever be open to him. As Edmond passed the door on the 4th floor, he paused to inquire whether Caderousse the tailor still dwelt there, but he received for reply that the person in question had got into difficulties, and at the present time kept a small inn on the route from Bellegarde to Beaucaire. Having obtained the address of the person to whom the house in the Allée de Melun belonged, Dantès next proceeded thither, and, under the name of Lord Wilmore, the name and title inscribed on his passport, purchased the small dwelling for the sum of 25,000 francs, at least 10,000 more than it was worth. But had its owner asked for 500,000, it would have unhesitatingly been given. The very same day, the occupants of the apartments on the 5th floor of the house, now become the property of Dantès, were truly informed by the notary who had arranged the necessary transfer of deeds, etc., that the new landlord gave them their choice of any of the rooms in the house without the least augmentation of rent, upon condition of their giving instant possession of the two small chambers they at present inhabited. This strange event aroused great wonder and curiosity in the neighborhood of the Allée de Melun, and a multitude of theories were afloat, none of which was anywhere near the truth. But what raised public astonishment to a climax, and set all conjecture at defiance, was the knowledge that the same stranger who had in the morning visited the Allée de Melun had been seen in the evening, walking in the little village of the Catalans, and afterward observed to enter a poor fisherman's hut, and to pass more than an hour in inquiring after persons who had either been dead or gone away for more than 15 or 16 years. But on the following day, the family, from whom all these particulars had been asked, received a handsome present, consisting of an entirely new fishing boat, with 2 seines and a tender. The delighted recipients of these magnificent gifts would gladly have poured out their thanks to their generous benefactor, but they had seen him, upon quitting the hut, merely give some orders to a sailor, and then springing lightly on horseback, leave Marseille by the Porte d'Aix. End of chapter.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Teal.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, poor Dante.
Yeah.
It is pretty sad thinking about his father.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like he deserves a warm homecoming, except that nobody recognizes him anymore. Not his friends, he doesn't have any family, or his sweetheart. A huge contrast to like how the book began, where Marseille was his home and these were his people, and now there's nobody. Like he has to buy his place of that. has to like buy people's goodwill, let's just say, by just throwing his money around. It's kind of sad. So none of the other sailors recognized him, and he knows his father has died. He bought the house, the building or whatever where they used to rent. So he's now a new landlord. Actually, if you were to ask me, like, what do you do if you come upon like a whole bunch of money, I would join the landlord class. Probably I would. Real estate is the way to go. I don't know. What would you guys do besides, giving your friends gifts and your family as well? How would you use your money?
Yeah, I would also buy a house, so like at least I don't have to worry about rent.
I mean, there's property
But
taxes,
yeah,
but it doesn't compare to.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I haven't really thought that much. I guess I would probably still be living, be under my means, like just living a chill life, not having to work anymore. So that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my dream.
Meanwhile, I would begin plotting elaborate revenge against everyone who's ever wronged me.
Okay, Edmond.
I am already doing that on a budget, so it's all right.
What
It can be
enemies?
surprisingly cheap.
Yes, it is.
Well, I would counter that. As a good Spaniard said, there's not a lot of money in the revenge business, so just be careful there. Don't, like.
It's not about making money, it's about sending a message.
Exactly. I'm with Yay on this.
How about you, Teal? What would you do if you had a whole bunch of money?
Yeah, I'd make sensible investments that I could live off of the dividends and the interest and just still live pretty quietly, I think.
Yeah. I
Realistically, that's the thing to do.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd be pretty generous, though. A
Yeah,
lot to
for
charity, a lot to friends and family. I don't need money that badly.
So there's this comment saying that if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs for sure. So if our parents suddenly get like a really extravagant gift, or maybe like a trip that they wanted to take all their life or whatever, you'd be like, well, maybe I found this coupon, this Groupon here. Here's the trip you've always wanted, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. Like we want to keep it on the down low, because the vultures swoop in to try to like take your stuff and ingratiate themselves with you and so on and so forth. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, though, I think that the picture that is painted of Edmond at this point is tragic, because he has all this money to give away, and he's kind of like being absurdly like generous, and yet so far he's all alone in this world, like all alone. He has nobody, maybe Jacopo, but I don't think Jacopo's with him anymore, right? He just
He's sort of with him.
Not at the moment.
not at the moment. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
One thing
Didn't they-
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm reading Six of Crows. So like constantly, every single thing can be a tracing sign or like something that brings attention that you don't want. So like seeing Edmund just throw money around, I was like, people will ask questions. They will trace it back to him and be like, "Where did you get this money? Who are you?" and stuff like that. And I don't know, like how much like bad will it come out of this, especially in this time period. I don't know. Of like how much will he stand out in a negative way, exactly, like how much the vultures will come after him just because he's spending money. Like
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. especially if he's asking questions about like Caderousse or whatever.
Exactly.
I don't know. We'll see what's the next stop. He definitely is looking for Mercedes. We don't know what the people told him, but it can't have been anything good. We know it can't have been anything good. Worst case scenario, well, actually not. Best case scenario, she moved away somewhere and he goes to find her. Worst case scenario, she died. We will find out what is the actual scenario. So for that, you'll have to join us. I don't know if it'll be revealed in the next read along, in the next chapter or not, but it'll be revealed what happened to Mercedes, who promised eternal fidelity. Anything else about this chapter that you guys would like to comment on?
Had a lot of words.
Yeah, a lot of words.
French cops are pretty bad at their job.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's hiding in plain sight, right?
Yeah.
This prisoner we're looking for, well, we don't know what happened to him, but some rich guy showed up and bought his old house.
Yeah.
That's definitely not worth looking into.
Well, and I'm happy to say that they're pretty incompetent, because we don't want our good boy to, for his revenge arc to be interrupted by anything, of course. May his revenge be uninterrupted and may his plans prosper. I'm happy to say that next chapter we get the return of actual dialogue. So yeah, there's a few pages of a lot of dialogue, but I mean a few pages of a lot of narration, but we do get dialogue and we do get new people, hopefully, and yeah, it looks like an interesting one. So I'm excited for that. Oh look, Patrick's in the chat. Says greetings from the grotto at Mount St. Mary. Happy to see you and glad that you could join us for a bit. Says, I think I would invest the money after taxes. It's the only one that accounted for taxes, you guys. I didn't even think of taxes, except property taxes, but yeah. What does that say about us? All right. I
think we're all imagining that we're getting the kinds of riches where you don't have to pay taxes in.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of rich, that kind of class, right? Keep living a humble life. Don't call me out, Magpie. I would never call you out. That's that is a perfectly reasonable way to go about it. There's nothing to call out. Also, Patrick continues saying there would be a lot of avaricious people out to share in Dante's wealth. Yeah, that's what I'm mostly afraid of, but I think Dante's has grown enough at this point in the story to be able to be a little bit more careful, right? He's no longer the callow youth that he used to be, who would just, trust people so much. And so I'm hoping that 14 years in prison and the wisdom of Abbe Faria and all of his hardships is enough to save him from, being taken advantage of by others. I mean, at this rate, like if you're taken in by others after having suffered so much, then you kind of had it coming, buddy. I'm sorry. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, yeah, that's my hope. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. He spent hundreds of thousands of francs, and he internally said that if it were 500,000 francs for his rundown father's house, he would have paid.
No!
So,
yeah!
See how well he is with his money.
Oh, jeez. That's the one thing I'm worried about. Like, I'm like, okay, so I know he has a whole bunch of money. Did we calculate how much it was? Like $1 billion almost? Kind of? It was a lot of money.
It probably has the purchasing power of at least $1 billion today.
Yeah, probably. But I'm like, man, like, you could just not. Can you not use the money like that? Can you not give people like double 2 Napoleons or whatever it is? Come on.
See, that part totally makes sense to me. It's the willingness to just drop $500,000 on a rundown apartment that's not the best financial decision.
I know. Look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want him to tip generously. It's just the fact that it would draw attention. That's what I'm most worried about. Like, it would draw attention. And yes, the house, financial decision entirely, because what's he gonna do? Keep a shrine in there? Like, his father is dead. Let his memory rest. I mean, unless he's gonna hire somebody to grow nasturtiums in the window, and even so, I think you can probably build like a model house of the interior for less money than 500,000 francs, if that's what he would have paid. So yeah, we questioned some of his choices, but I think he's just right now running on, emotion, because this is his homecoming. I'm sure he has dreamed about it for a long time, and he's not quite, as rational as he usually would be. So we'll let him have it. But hopefully...
He almost got isekai'd by carriages.
Yeah.
When he was bowled over by emotion.
Right? I was like, no, be careful.
Well, don't worry, Magpie. I think we can count on the Count of Monte Cristo to definitely not act exclusively based on emotion.
I should hope so. I want revenge served cold and emotionless and emotionally constipated. Yes. Yeah, I want that. Please. Let him stifle his emotions till he bursts.
No!
You want to watch Dantès pop like a balloon?
Sorry, I have a fictionary hero type. Yes.
We know.
All right. Enough nonsense, you guys.
No, never enough nonsense.
Well, we'll do more nonsense after the live. I think this is a good stopping point for today. We will be picking up, as always, on Wednesday. If you want to join us and support this channel, support our endeavors, you know what to do. You can subscribe to this channel and then go over to the Chattering Magpie. That's my regular channel. And then hit that subscribe and that join button, and at the noble tier you can join us here on Discord to read more books and other stuff. Yeah. Let's see, Fuji Petals is back. Praise be to Jugaris, may she bless Dante. Yeah, Dante's. No, we don't want Jugaris to bless his money, because then that means that he will be parted from his money. No. No, Jugaris, no. Yeah, but for us, we do have to, Jugaris time. We are leaving now. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Today we had the following people reading. Let's see, who do we have? We had narrating was Magpie and Teal. Edmond Dantès was read by Yay82, and The Honest Sailor was read by Yukihime252. Let's see.
Other narrator was Teal.
Yay! I just saw your meme.
Yes.
Let me share it. Hold on a second. It's funny. Copy link. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, there would be signs for sure. I agree. Okay. This is what Yay would do. I wouldn't tell anyone I won the lottery, but there would be hints.
Yeah, every single photo with this description is always so funny.
It's true. It's a good bit. It's a good meme.
Yes.
And here's the other one.
Personally, I like the second one better myself.
Yeah, I'm showing it too. If I lived 100 years ago and won the... I don't know, man. Like, you're asking for a death wish. What the heck?
Oh, no, absolutely. That is a terrible idea, but it is a very funny picture.
It is a funny picture. Well, I don't know. I probably... If I lived 100 years ago... No, actually, if I lived right now and I won the lottery, you would probably be seeing a lot more of me on, like, videos-wise. Because then I could hire an editor, and then all I have to do is just write and record, write and record, write and record, and I wouldn't have to worry about paying the rent. And that's it. That's all. If you see me posting once a week at least, like Mr. Beast, if I become the Mr. Beast of A Sense of a Bookworm, then you know that something happened. Something. Yeah.
I posted another thing.
Oh.
Scroll down a little.
You know, I said we're gonna leave, but this is worthwhile stuff, okay, you guys? This is from Yukihime. I'll never waste my money on dumb stuff ever again. What are you talking about? Wait, is that like foreshortening and there's a woman like beyond, or is the woman inside the duck? Is she part of the duck?
No, it's a boat duck. Like that's the kind of thing you buy with lottery money, okay?
I thought that for a second. I thought that it was like in the distance was the woman rowing, but it was just not working out. Like visually, no, she literally is a duck and a boat, and the woman is steering that. Whoa,
Duck boat.
nonsense.
Yeah, that would be my sign. I think it would be on the news. I mean, I've got a river here, so like might as well use it.
Right? Yeah, but like Fuji Petals Floating in the River says, yes, I think the best answer is just make a whole bunch of Ferdinand videos. And actually, you know what I would do, you guys? I would fund A Sense of a Bookworm to be read by Armin Taylor. or at least his lines, Ferdinand's lines to be read by Armin Taylor. That's all.
Better question, Magpie. If you had enough money, would you option the movie rights?
I would.
Yeah, exactly.
I would.
Go all the way and animate the whole series on like the best animation ever, like the whole thing from beginning to end.
That would be amazing. Yes, I would. Oh man, but lo, we are not the Counts of Monte Cristo. We have not won the lottery. If one of you guys ever wins the lottery, please don't forget the worthy cause of A Sense of a Bookworm. I'm not asking to give me your money. I mean, you can give me your money or some of the money. Most importantly, give towards the cause. Well, yeah, that's it. That's all. A true bookworm will spread the gospel of A Sense of a Bookworm. Yes, indeed.
But of course, there's really only one way where we're going to get that kind of money. And that's by continuing to shill for Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, I still don't know any of their taglines.
Correct, Dr. Pepper, please sponsor us.
Please do so.
Throw money at us. We'll keep doing this bit.
Even though I've never drank Dr.
We'll name
Pepper.
all 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper.
We will even make up a 24th just for you.
Yes.
Flavor number 1, Jeffrey. Flavor number 2, Alicia. We're naming them.
Make sure that one of them is for Ferdinand, okay?
Number 3 is Kurisu. Kuristina.
Christina. Oh. Alright, Steins Gate. Let's go. We gotta go now. I had a whole bunch of fun. Too much fun. Illegal amounts of fun. So we gotta end it. Thank you guys for joining me. We will see you on Wednesday as we pick up the next chapter. Thank you all in the chat for joining us. And yeah. Goodbye, everybody. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay, so Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra.
Oh,
Forget that
geez.
reference. Well done.